Good morning. This is Yoga with Miranda. Often we have people come into classes where they have back issues, so we're going to try to do a couple of things to stretch out and just loosen up the spine a little bit. Let shoulders relax down the back, and we usually kind of do a little lift here, keeping those shoulders down. Most of us keep the shoulders up around the ears. So we just take a second here, get our focus, attention on the mat. Always breathing in through the nose, taking long breath out through the nose. Each time we're inhaling, we're trying to round the belly, see if we can expand the rib cage, and we lift up into the collarbones. Every time we exhale, all of the air is pushing out, and we draw that navel into the spine. That helps us fully engage the lungs. Now we sit up nice and tall. We're going to start moving the body in little circles. So each time we go around, that circle is going to get a little larger. We're trying to loosen up the spine a little bit, get into the hips some. Maybe we really start moving around that large circle. We can even take a shoulder and dip it in towards center just to really exaggerate that rounding. Good way to start warming up the spine. Now when we come back to center, take a pause and we go the other way. Making sure if we dip the shoulder, we do the other side. It's just a really loose movement. Some of us try to think too hard. This is your practice. Do it for you. Don't do it for your neighbor. If you're in a class, don't do it for your instructor. You know your body than anybody else. So we gradually bring that circle in until we get up to that neutral spine, letting the shoulders relax, hands fall down beside us. Taking a deep inhale, the arms come up and overhead, and when we exhale, a nice twist over to the right side. That left hand is just hanging out on your right leg. The right hand is behind us to help us sit up nice and tall. Twisting is really good for our spine as long as we're listening to our body and not going too far. So if we exhale, sometimes we can get that right shoulder to ease back a little more. Maybe we're looking right, or even take the gaze toward that right shoulder. Now when we exhale, twist all the way back to center. Both arms inhaling up overhead. And as we exhale, take it over to the left side. Use that left hand to push us up. We always want that spine nice and long when we do a twist. It helps us protect that back. Remember, we can take that gaze left or even toward that left shoulder. The farther back we can look, as long as our neck is happy with that, the deeper the twist will be. So it's all about getting that shoulder to turn back. And when we exhale, twist back to center. Take both arms, inhale up and overhead. Fingertips are going to reach up. Maybe the chin is up slightly. We don't want to go too far because then we strain the neck. If we let the shoulders relax down the back, it's giving us a little tiny arch, and that's a little back bend. And when we exhale, hands come down. Take that deep inhale, lift the chest, and as we exhale, round the back. Pull the navel in, dropping chin to chest. We're getting nice and round here in the spine so we can separate each vertebrae, like a seated cat pose. When we inhale, bring the head forward, shoulders roll up and down the back, elbows come in. So now we're arching that back in a seated cow pose. Exhaling, round, inhaling, come forward. So sometimes when we have back issues, we don't want to exaggerate one of these poses more than the other, especially if it's not feeling so great. Like in cow pose, when we come forward and arch that back, we might have a lumbar curve, and it's just not a happy place for us to go, so we just don't deepen it quite as much. Now we come back up to a neutral spine. Let's take both feet, put them on the mat, and we're going to turn around. I am. So that we can grab hold of the backs of the legs and round back. I always want to round as we come on down to help protect the back, and usually my vertebrae pop all the way. Now we get those knees and pull them into the chest. Hands can be by your side if you want a little more stability, and I have some that like to hold the knees. So we keep the knees together and we circle. That's going to release lower back tension. Now I like my hands beside me because I get a better circle and I feel more stable. So just because we have that ability to bring the knees all the way in doesn't mean that we have to, but sometimes it doesn't feel comfortable, and we always go the other way. Now knees come in. We take the right hand and grab the outside of the left leg. Let the knees fall over to the right side. So if our knees go over to the right side and we're feeling too much of a pull on the back, we just stick a block or a blanket up under our knees to give us a little lift and take pressure off of that back. So like I said earlier, twisting is good for the spine as long as we do it safely. Left hand comes up. When we exhale, the arm opens up. Now often that arm will be hanging out up here and it won't come all the way down. Sometimes it's because we have flesh under that right shoulder. So if we lift that right shoulder up and shift the flesh out of the way, then it will help us flatten out that arm. Now we can look up or we can look to the left. All of the gazing depends on your neck. So you look where it makes you happy. So if we're exhaling, nice long exhales, it releases the tension from the body, helps us get into that twist a little easier. One knee up and the other, knees in, and then we take the knees, left hand to right leg, and knees start falling over to the left side. Right arm will lift, and we exhale, let it fall right. So we might need to bring that left shoulder up, wiggle it around, relax. Now a lot of the times I see people pulling those knees all the way up into their chest and then they're just not happy, they're getting too much of a pull. So the more we pull back, the deeper that twist is, the deeper that stretch. So it doesn't mean we have to do that. We can always back the knees off a little bit. Remember, we can always lift the knees onto a block or a blanket. You don't want the legs dangling in the air because then that pulls on the back. Now slowly bring one knee up and the other, knees into the chest. Sometimes a little rock side to side will help loosen up that back side. Sometimes we like to just pull the knees in. We can even take the nose up toward the knees, wrapping arms around the shins. If we flex the feet, will help us stretch that spine out just a little bit more. So we always have options every single pose. And we slowly lower down. Take the knees over to one side. Use your top hand to push up to a comfortable seated pose. And once we get here, just because you see all the people sitting with their legs crossed, anytime we're seated, it does not mean you have to sit cross-legged. You can take legs out in front. Thank you for joining me today. Namaste.